Now, this isn't the story I wanted to link to. The one I wanted to link to was about a case where the Lutheran Church gets to have its own civil court that precedes that of normal secular civil court. This is about some battle that I'm sure you already knew about, that the church is not responsible for discriminating against employees. That if you get discriminated against or feel you've been discriminated against in a church, that's your problem because of separation of church and state, whatever. But this article will do because it brings up a bigger problem. I always wondered why religious right-wingers and secular right-wingers of the objectivist and anarcho-capitalist and libertarian variety would team up with the religious right and social conservatives when they're always bitching about each other. Social conservatives are always bitching that, the libertarians will make it to where children can shoot up heroin and, there'll be napalm bullets sold on streetways and things like that. And the libertarians say that, the religious right just wants to control our bodies, man. They don't believe in a free market and all this other bullshit. So if they don't like each other, why do they dislike each other less than they dislike the left? And not everyone on the left is a liberal. So where's the connection? Well, it came to me why they support each other despite all their hatred. And it's because they want essentially the same thing. They want it for different reasons. They have different plans with it. But they both want that ununified Confederate bullshit tribalism. They want supranationalism because that way they can get away with all their shit. The libertarians want supranationalism, that way they can have their free markets when everything is a clusterfuck and there's 10 different varieties of the dollar and they can discriminate against you in their store and they can discriminate against you in the workplace and everything is just about them and their wants. And the religious right want the Confederacy, that way they can practice their weirdo religious beliefs and impose them upon everybody else in this clusterfuck of a way. They both want to exploit a loosely based small government so that they can govern the way they want to and everybody else, well, fuck them. Because they know they'll have nowhere else to go. They know the poor can't just pick up and move. They know the poor can't just go vote for another guy and everything will change. They don't want a unified government. They do not want a big federal government because they know a big federal government would act in the best interest of the people as a whole, not in the best interest of their religious beliefs or their capitalist enterprises. That is why libertarians and the religious right team up. That is why Ron Paul says one thing and then does another. Because they need each other. And when one of them realizes that, that is how we dismantle the right wing. When we realize that both of them are tied to the hip. And if we can get one away from the other, then that will just completely destroy the right wing. Because they both want that stupid Confederacy shit. And I have to repeat myself because a lot of times they trick moderate left-wingers into voting for this crap because they're like, well, if you want socialism, you can do it in your state. It's not about whether or not you can do it in your state. It's about right versus wrong. If something is wrong, it shouldn't be done. If something is right, it should be done. If there is a wrong law, it should be abolished. It shouldn't matter in what state it's in. It shouldn't matter in what country it's in. And if something is right, it should be implemented universally. Not just in our state, not in just our country. What is so hard to understand about that? You know why Christians and secular libertarians and shit worry about Sharia law? It isn't because they worry about the authoritarianism of Sharia law. It's because Sharia law is universal. It applies to all Muslims, and the Islamic community has created this unifying law in their own states, in their own nations. And that's what they worry about. They worry about a law that cannot be interpreted loosely. They worry about a law they cannot bend and twist to their own will. This is the similarity between the religious right and the secular right. Again, I have to say it. They are different. They have different beliefs and they have different means they use to implement those beliefs. They are indeed distinct creatures, but they desire the same confederacy because they both want to exploit it, and they both want to abuse that power that comes with a loosely placed or disorganized government, organized chaos you could call it. And that's what worries me. That's why the right wing is so dangerous, because they know what they want, and we're just being stupid about it, acting like, they don't know what's going on. They know more than they let on. And that's why they get away with this shit. That's why religious communities can basically do whatever they want, despite how typically people are anti-religious, or at least ambivalent. Most people do not really care about religion. It's not an important quality in their life. You might have your born-again Christians and things, but most people simply don't give a shit. It doesn't play a part in their politics, per se. Most people aren't even interested in politics, and maybe that's the problem. But most people, they don't want religion to be the center stage of their political structure. And then there's those that are just outright opposed to religion and think religion is all the ills in the world are created by religion. I don't believe that. I don't think religion in itself is bad. What I think is bad is when people allow their own distinguishments to take, to exalt them and to act like just these minor differences in religion are worth creating a different nation state over. That's what worries me. It's the fact that there's the Lutherans and the Baptists and the Catholics and the Protestants and the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons, and that is no way for a human being to act. It is no way for any society to function, and it should not be how our species functions. We don't need 1,000 freaking different churches. We need one unified church. We need one unified rule of God and rule of law. We need to come to that basic understanding that while we're going to have differences and we're going to argue, we need to set guidelines for which every human being lives by and is punished by and is rewarded by. If I do something wrong, I should get punished the same way someone else that did something wrong that was the equal type of wrong. If I steal something, I should be punished in the same way as someone else that steals something is. There should be no differences. It shouldn't matter what our religion is. It shouldn't matter what our race is. It shouldn't matter where we come from. It should apply equally to everybody. And when you distinguish people between different religions and different nations and different cities and different ethnicities, you come up with this class hierarchy. You come up with this struggle between differences that don't mean anything. It bears no mind on the morality of the subject matter. And that is why the right wing is so, tightly knit. And I just needed to say that because that's an epiphany I came to, always wondering how the religious right and the secular right, sleep together when supposedly they're such bitter enemies. So that's it for now.